Is your marriage in need of renewal? At the Institute for Essential Care, our Marriage Institute offers spiritual care counseling, marriage and premarital counseling, and guidance for couples preparing to start a family. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Are you looking for real talk on love, marriage, parenting, and relationships? Join us every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. for Family Matters, a brand new show on Praise 87.9 FM. Hosted by Dwayne Uter, alongside Dr. Cheyenne O'Connor, a licensed clinical psychologist and relationship expert. We'll tackle the real issues that families face. Straight talk, expert advice, and live call-ins. Got questions? We've got answers. Tune in and let's build stronger families together. Family Matters, this and every Thursday on Praise 87.9 FM.
Right start on a Thursday morning, starting your day with a smile. Dr. O'Connor is in this morning. Good morning, Dr. O'Connor.
Hey, Dwayne, good morning, and good morning to all our listeners, wherever you are.
None of us were here last week.
Yeah, last week I was off traveling last week, but
I was off fluing. Last week I flew.
Yeah. There's a lot of people involved in having this flu that is going around. Yeah. Yes, but it's good to be back.
Yes,
I missed the program last week.
Yeah. One thing I'm liking about Cayman these days, I mean, the periodic times of cold fronts.
Yep. Yeah. It is amazing.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. Yesterday morning, I think it just all of a sudden just turned cold.
Yes.
And I was driving down and I see it's 68 degrees.
Yeah,
I said, whoa, holy moly.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
We soon start buying winter.
Yeah, that's correct.
Winter clothing in Cayman.
Yeah, make no mistake about that one.
Pastor, you know, sometimes you see some funny little videos, and one of which that may seem funny. There was this guy, seemingly. It says it was, be careful when you ask God for a spiritual man. And so this man was going to bed, and his wife, obviously they were going to make love, and the man really put on a long prayer. Got in some spirit, right? It seems funny. It really seems funny. But should and I know you've been talking along that line.
Yes.
But should couples bring prayer into that aspect of your relationship?
That's a very good question, because that's along the line that we're talking about this morning. In fact, we're looking at the subject God in the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's particularly fascinating subject because there are a lot of people who just completely disassociate God from the experience or the event of sexual interactions in the home. In fact, there are people with beliefs that God disappear out of the room and that angels
give them privacy.
Give you privacy, and that angels disappear from the room, which is so far from the truth, right? But it is quite appropriate to engage in spiritual activities even in the process of sexuality. There's a view that we have, and I think many minds have been messed up.
Yes.
Really. To disassociate spirituality from sexuality. And you couldn't be more wrong, right? Because spirituality and sexuality is intertwined.
Yes.
In fact, many of the idolatrous experiences in Old Testament has to do with sexuality. Most of these deities are sex gods.
Yes.
If you read Corinthians, for example, you'll see that in the Corinthian experience in Paul's days, there was a lot of sexuality that was merged into spirituality in the church. And so that's when you read Corinthians, Paul talks about sexual conduct, right? That our body is to the honor and glory of God, and we're not to use our body to dishonor God through having, it says, flee fornication, because every sin you commit is outside your body. But when you commit fornication, you use your body, which is the temple of God. It is Corinthians chapter 7 that Paul talks about husband do not deprive your wife, and wife do not deprive your husband sexual experiences. So that there's a lot of text in the Bible that give you the impression that there's a real correlation between a relationship between sexuality and spirituality. And so, yeah, it is okay to pray. Yeah, in fact, one person says, "Man, you pray to give God thanks when you're about to have a good meal."
Yes,
that's quite appropriate to do.
You know something? I'm just thinking, just now, it just came to me.
Yeah.
Just as you spoke, it came to me. If just like food,
Yep.
you were giving thanks before.
Yes.
I mean, whether you're Christian or not, you see people, whether they're Christian or not, they pray before they eat the food. If you were doing something wrong,
Yeah.
you'd be guilty praying.
Exactly.
And it would either prevent you from doing it or prevent you from
Yes,
praying.
exactly. But that's a good point you're making.
Yes.
And doing with a man and his wife, or a wife and her husband, right? That's an appropriate time to give thanks, either before or after.
Yes.
But then if you're having it with somebody who is not your marital spouse,
Yes.
then that you can't give thanks for that. You can't
And
pray
so
for that.
it brings a real guilt.
Precisely.
A greater guilt.
Precisely, because God cursed that. So
Yes.
you cannot ask God to bless what he curses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a fascinating subject that we have not discussed, and we have not discussed it in church. Last Sabbath when I spoke on that subject matter.
Yes.
And I entitled the sermon, "It's Maggot in the Morning."
Okay.
And it came from the perspective that in the
Maggot in the manna or manna?
it's maggot in the morning.
Oh, in
All
the
right.
morning. Okay.
And that came from the perspective of the manna
Okay.
that God sent during the children of Israel's journey. That was fresh and nutritious.
Okay.
And it came with instructional manual, right? It came-
When to eat.
Yes, exactly.
When to pick up.
eat. Yes, when to eat, when to put up. Do not put up any until tomorrow,
Yeah.
except on the 6th day, right?
Yeah.
And so people violated those instructions, and that manna turns maggot in the morning. That the Bible says it bred worm and stank in the morning. And the same principle applies to marriage, right? Very same principle applies to marriage. That when you get married, and if you follow the instruction manual that God gives, right? And you have sexuality within the confine of the marital boundaries, right? Then it's like fresh manna, okay? But if you violate that principles, then that which is beautiful and fresh and wholesome and healthy today will stink tomorrow, will breed worms tomorrow,
Yes,
and you have maggot in the morning. And so there
All
are
kind of diseases.
yeah, precisely.
Maggot.
Heartaches and pains and resentment and anger and bitterness. Those are the worms, right?
Yes.
That come out of this. So
physical worm something.
yeah, and sometimes physical diseases that come. So you do have. I want for us this morning then to focus on this subject. Does God show up in the bedroom? And I'm going to pull a text for you because it's a fascinating text in the Bible, right? So there are 3 cases, and maybe more, but I have highlighted 3 cases where God acted drastically and exterminate individuals, right? You have the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, when they administer strange fire on the altar in the sanctuary. And the text says, God killed them immediately. You have Uzzah, who touched the ark.
Yes.
This was a genuine effort. You know, the oxen stumbled, the ark was about to fall, and
He thought
that the ark was about to fall and reach out to hold it, to prevent it from falling. But he died on the spot. You have Ananias and Sapphira, who went to church Sabbath morning, okay, and brought the proceeds of the land, but they did it in deception, right? And they died instantly in the presence of everybody in church because they deceived. You know, Peter says, "Why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit?" You have
that
not
was
lied
just a
unto God.
senseless lie.
Yeah, you know, it was really a senseless lie because he says, You sold the land. This is what you got for it. Why did you come and give an impression that you got less than what you actually got?
Yeah.
So, and God took them out. They died on the spot, both of them. So you see where God took drastic action. Now, there is a fourth one.
Yeah.
Where God took out on this spot. It has not to do with deception, or it didn't have to do with unholy common fire being exercised on the sanctuary. It had to do with sex, right? Where God actually killed a man because of his immoral sexual activity. Now that should frighten all of us. So I'm gonna read it. It's in Genesis chapter 38. Right, it's in Genesis 38, and it begins at verse 8. So I can tell you the background to it. So the background to it is that Judah had two sons. He had a son called Er, E-R, and he had a son called Onan. Now, Er, the first son, married this woman, but he was a wicked guy, and so the Bible said the Lord killed him. So his wife is left without children. So Judah instructs the brother Onan to say, hey, your brother is dead, his wife has no children, so you need to marry her and go into her, meaning have sexual relationship with her, and have children for your brother, so your brother's lineage can continue, which was what we call a leviate law back then. It was a valid law that needs to happen. That's the same principle when the guys contacted Jesus and said, Lord, we have a question for you. If you say there's a resurrection, here's a case where a man leaves, right? Died and leave his wife, and the wife married 7 brothers, and in heaven who will be his husband, right? So that's where that's coming from. So in this text, Judah, the father, said to his son Onan, go take your brother's wife and marry her, as he's dead, and have children for her. So I'm going to read for your brother. So I'm in verse 8 of Genesis 38. And Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up an heir to your brother. Verse 9. But Onan, look at these words, but Onan knew that the heir or the child would not be his, right? And it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he emitted on the ground, lest he should give an heir to his brother. Right, just pause right there. Right, so this is serious stuff. Right?
That no is fornication.
No, this is serious stuff. Okay. This is very, very serious stuff. So he knew, the text says, that the child, if this wife gets pregnant, the child would not be his, but his brother. And rather than saying, no, I am not going to do that, no, he took advantage of the sexual experience that he could get, right? This is the part that is troubling him. He went in, had sex with her, but the text says he emitted, meaning he spilled his semen on the ground to prevent her from conceiving. So he wanted the benefit of the sexual intercourse and the pleasure of the sexual intercourse, but not the responsibility, not the divine responsibility that comes with that. That is an abuse of the city. Yes, that is using her and abusing her sexually. And the text says in the next verse, right? Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord. Therefore, he killed him also. Therefore, meaning God killed him also.
So my version says what he did was wicked in
Yes.
the Lord's sight.
What he
Wicked.
did was wicked.
Wicked.
Precisely. Right.
Yeah.
So
And the
what can
Lord
we...
kill him.
And the Lord killed him. That's correct. So what can we extract from that? Right? There's a whole lot we can extract from that. One, that God is very much in the bedroom.
Yes, because he saw.
He saw, precisely. He was there. The idea that God leaves the bedroom when husband and wives are about to have sex, or when anybody's about to have sex. No, that's not true. God is very... Why would God leave? He designed the entire body. The idea of sexuality came from him, right? So that's not true. He's very much there, number one. Number two, we can also extract from that the whole matter of sexuality is a divine obligation, right? It's a spiritual, consecrated, sacred obligation that God honors. And therefore, when we violate it, we dishonor God, right? And this is something that we need to understand. Sexual intercourse within the confine of married man and a married woman is honorable to God. And the Bible puts it, the marriage is honorable. When we violate it, we dishonor God. And that's number two. Number three, that we can extract from it, as your translation puts it, to have sex because you want to please yourself without being careful to take on the responsibility that comes with it.
Pregnancy children.
Yes, pregnancy children, or care for the other person. To use sex in an abusive manner, in a selfish manner, to entertain, to go into sexual intercourse on a selfish premise, just to satisfy yourself without regard for anybody else, either the lady or the man or God. It's a wicked act.
Yes, and it's risky.
And it's risky. You could
God will kill you.
The Lord took him out.
Well, there's something else I want to ask, right?
Yes.
There's something else I want to ask. I'm looking at this now from several different angles. I'm not only looking at it from the guy who died, right? So a couple of questions.
Yes.
One, does this therefore mean that the main purpose for sex is for reproduction?
Okay, so that is a good question.
Yeah.
And the answer to that would be yes.
Okay.
That and I would use it, the main or the primary.
Primary.
Yes. And there's Bible behind that.
Which is going to lead to my second question.
Yes.
So, not men this time. The man dropped dead, but this time is a woman.
Yes.
There are women who are not married, who take contraceptives
Yes.
in order to have sex and not get pregnant.
Yes.
Is that also wicked?
You mean unmarried women?
Unmarried.
Yeah. So let me answer the...
You see where I'm going, right?
Yeah, I get you.
Because it's the same thing as the man.
Precisely.
Yes.
I'm going to answer both. Question number one.
Yes.
The answer to question number one is yes.
Yeah.
That the primary purpose for sexuality between husband and wife, as God intended, was to produce children. We know that for a number of reasons. There are a number of texts that suggest that. One, that God said to Adam, be fruitful and multiply. But more than that, in Malachi says, why does God make us one? In Malachi chapter 2, the answer, because he wants godly children. So that's a primary purpose.
Okay.
There's a secondary purpose, however, which is the satisfaction we get, the closeness we get, the connection we get
from giving ourselves to each other.
From giving ourselves to each other. And that is also holy. In other words, even without a child, that is sanctified and that is also holy. The issue in this case is that Onan was violating the law in the process, right? That's the issue. There was a law that was in place that you have this responsibility to take care of to carry your brother's lineage, and you violated that law, but you used the woman for your purpose, and that was not okay with God. Okay. Now, with regards to your second question, any kind of, and I like to stress this, any kind of sexual activity, any kind of sexual activity outside of the confine of a man and his wife, or a woman and her husband, is considered to be a wicked act. So that is what we call a perversion of sexual act, of holy sex, so to speak. It's a perversion, and whether that be fornication, whether that be adultery, whether that be incest, whether that be homosexuality, any kind of sexual activity outside of the boundaries of a married man and a married woman, it's a wicked act. Here's another piece of Bible to support that. Joseph and Mrs. Potiphar. That's another piece of support. When Mrs. Potiphar hold on to Joseph and wanted Joseph to have sex with her, Joseph said, "How can I do this wicked thing and sin against my God?" So as far as Joseph is concerned, having sex with another person who is not my wife is wicked. A wicked thing, right? The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the Bible says that Lot lived among these wicked people. Right? So you see that coming over and over again. The word wickedness is attached to any kind of perversion of sexuality. But the challenge for us in this society is that we have embraced, it has become a norm. And that's the thing that worries me as a theologian and worries me as a therapist, is that which God characterizes or identified as wicked act has become the norm, right?
The new normal.
The new normal. We promote it, we embrace it, it is the order of the day, as if God's standards have changed.
But it also brings a marker.
Yeah.
Like it turns on a light that for us, for the Christians, for the believer.
Yes.
As much as it's a norm, it's also turned on a signal that you're on the right path, because the Bible did say that as it was in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes. So it will be yes, precisely.
So you know that this world is coming to an end.
Precisely. When you read prophecy, for example, that's one of the unmistakable signs that we are at the end. When we have the proliferation of illicit sexual activities.
And then gets stronger
that have become norm. Yes. Yeah. When you look at these young people on TikTok, all right, or on social media, these platforms are soaked with illicit sexual activities and illicit sexual gestures, and it's just all over the place, and it has become normalized, and that's a problem. It has become just as how homosexuality was normalized in Sodom. It was the order of the day. In fact, if you had a woman as a man, you were the exception in Sodom. Right?
And slowly becoming...
And it's slowly become normalized. Right? Illicit sexual... And this is... And again, I would use this platform to say this loud and clear. It is the sin that brought the flood in Noah's days. It is the sin that brought the fire in Sodom and Gomorrah. And it will be the sin that brings the destruction again upon us. Right? You cannot escape it. It is very much there. So then you understand now my burden.
Yes.
Because in this field, as you see the proliferation of illicit sexual activities where we normalize, people live their whole life unmarried, living together, having sex and not married. And it's become as they have children and grandchildren. And it just normalized as if it is not a problem. Right? It is a wicked act, the Bible says. It's wicked in Old Testament, it's wicked in New Testament, and it is wicked today. And so one of the things we want to do is The Bible says if you cannot manage your sexuality, then get married. That's the recommendation from the Apostle Paul, which means that marriage is supposed to address that concern. Therefore, when you're married, you have a spouse, and you're still doing that, that's double wicked.
So let me ask, as a clinical.
Yes.
Let me just give her numbers before I go, and we're up on a break. But let me just give her numbers: 945-9029. I know you're listening, and this is interesting conversation, especially the question that I asked about contraception and all those kind of stuff.
And see, contraception is a useful piece of technology for couples who are married.
Yes.
Full stop. Okay.
Yeah.
It is not for people who are not married, because people who are not married, based on God's standards, should not be engaged in sexual activity.
Well, I know I would have known of persons who had irregular menstrual cycles, and they use that as a
medication.
Medication.
That's a different thing altogether.
You understand?
Yeah.
So let's just clear that out there.
Yeah.
So this is a tricky question. You're a clinical psychologist. You would have known that. Well, I know too that there are many things that could affect us chemically.
Mm-hmm.
Chemical imbalances in our brains, right? I think it's chemical imbalance why persons get into habits, bad habits, smoke, whatever it is. It's people are not just normally bad, right?
Right.
Chemical.
There's a nature and a nurture factor.
Nature and a nurture factor. Right? Now, chemically imbalanced young man grew up. I heard one on the radio, on the internet recently. He knows that is wrong. He knows it's wrong to be a homosexual.
Yeah.
He knows that. But he cannot do any, he doesn't have the willpower to do anything against his feelings, his attractions. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for persons who don't have that attraction, can say, no, he can do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
This person doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to feel that way about a woman.
Right.
Because there's something happening inside of him.
Yep.
That he can't fix. What do you say to a person like that?
Okay. We have heard this argument over and over.
Yes.
I will say this. There are individuals who have genuine challenges.
Yes.
As you mentioned, chemical imbalances or other reasons, orientations, or for whatever the other reasons.
Yes.
There may be traumas in their lives. There may be other factors that for some reason cause them to have a tendency or a preference or a leaning or a predisposition towards, or an affection towards one sex over another. We're not disputing that. However, even if there are external factors or biological factors that puts you into this position, that does not make the behavior right.
Yeah, I understand that.
Right?
Perfect, yes.
Right. It does not make the behavior acceptable. One, it does not make the behavior right. And therefore, society should not, on that basis,
Make it right.
Make it right.
Yeah.
For the same reason that, and I can give you another classical case, that may be a homosexual. Here's a man who has the same predisposition
About a woman.
for children.
Yeah, okay.
We call them pedophiles. Yeah. They don't have no desire for men or grown women. They have a predisposition and inclination,
Or animals.
a desire for our animals, right?
Yes.
Children, pedophiles are the more popular ones, right? And so they will go out of their way, and they'll tell you they have the same biological challenge that homosexual may claim, or same trauma that an homosexual may claim, but their predisposition, their affinity is to our children. Do we make that right? Because they say, well, there's the same feelings I have toward children you have towards men. Right? See, this is the same process. The society would not, in any way, shape, or form, say, well, if you have that kind of problem, it is okay to trouble children. No, we wouldn't. So to the same extent, we would not, in the same measure, say that it is okay to have homosexual activities, because it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. What it means is that this person now has a challenge that needs help, right? Because based on the divine design, right, in which God designed the human race, a sexual activity between men and men is another perversion, right, that the Bible several times defined as wickedness. And it's outside of, it invokes the anger of God.
Worm in the morning.
Yeah, it's maggot in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, precisely.
It's maggot in the morning. So, and this is what I was saying.
And let me just hasten to say, what has happened in the society for the last couple of years is that the LGBT movement has done a very effective job, not just around the world, to create an environment in such that if you do not embrace that, if you say that behavior is not healthy, that behavior is not conducive to healthy society, that behavior, in fact, God condemns such behavior. If you were to say that, they interpret that to mean that you hate the person, which is completely false, right? You know, if my son is doing something which I think is wrong, and I say, oh, what you're doing is wrong, that doesn't transfer into me hating or translate into hatred. No. In fact, it would translate into me love, because I'm trying to correct the person. But the framework is so set up that if you were to say no, that behavior is wrong, it becomes a hate speech. You see, and so people say nothing about it because they don't want to be blamed as hate speech. In my book, that's not hate speech. That's a love speech. That's a speech that says, hey, my friend, I think you are heading in a direction that will upset God and will be destructive to the society.
The truth is, there are persons who would have shown hate towards, in some even some songs or whatever. It speaks of.
Yes, there are many.
Yes.
Members of the LGBT community that have sustained physical damage, verbal abuse. Yes. Quite many have been the recipient of hatred. So there's no question about that.
Yeah.
But that's not how you deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't deal with that because some people are generally struggling.
So what I'm thinking that again, the antidote for these things, if everything was according to the manual, then all of these things will be fixed.
Yeah.
The early signs of a child showing those tendencies could be corrected. It's just like, for example, a child with ADHD who keeps leave his room untidy, keep forgetting to do this, keep forgetting to do that. You don't just allow him to be that way.
Right.
You keep trying, you keep instilling in.
Well, Dwayne, this is the problem we're having in another related area.
Yes.
Right? Gender dysphoria, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? This is another problem we're having, where the other day we had so many young people who were allowed to change their genders,
Yes.
right? It was happening in the schools behind parents,
that's
yes,
so wicked.
because they feel differently, right? That's a hugely
You're making you're making them make a permanent mistake.
exactly based on
permanent mistake.
a permanent mistake
On
based
a
upon
temporary
temporary
feeling.
feelings. You never do that,
Yeah.
right? You never ever do that. And so this is when society does not hold the rein, right? When society does not maintain the boundaries, when society does not hold the principle that keep us healthy and leave it open, then we have all these atrocity coming in and damage our children and damage the future of our children. And that is one of the reasons why we have to maintain the integrity, maintain the standards that we have had, and don't give way to these new crazy ideas that have no grounding in scripture, no moral footing.
You know. I'm sure that there would have been persons in Bible times, who would have committed some form of perversion, and the Lord didn't kill them.
Yeah.
Right? But there was a point where he had to
take a stand.
take a stand.
Let me give you another case. I'll give you a case of David and Bathsheba.
Yes.
Now, so again, this is another case that is in Bible, in 2 Samuel 12:14 down there. Well, this is a popular story where David had sexual intercourse with a man's wife, sent the man to be killed, and had sexual intercourse with the man's wife. It was a huge sin, right, in Israel, that God sent the prophet Nathan up to the king's door and pointed out his sin, right? Again, how did God become aware of that? Because God is in the bedroom.
Yes.
Right? I come in over and over. Don't ever think that God is not in the bedroom. God is in the bedroom.
Whether it's legal or illegal.
God is in the bedroom.
Everywhere.
And the minute the king of Israel did this, God sent up the prophet in his face and pointed out this thing, that what you have done is wrong.
Yes.
Right? David, to his credit, repented. Right?
Yes.
David went into the sanctuary and he repented. However, even though he repented, Bathsheba was pregnant. She conceived, and God decided to kill the child.
Mm-hmm.
David prayed 7 days, no food, no water. He fasted and prayed 7 days for God to spare the child, but God didn't. God says, "I'll spare your life," right? But the consequence of your sin, right? So he took the child out. Here is again another piece that we're talking about. There are many people who have gotten forgiveness for similar actions, right? And God extends His grace and God extends
it's
His
risky.
mercy. But it's a risky thing.
It's a risk.
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
don't know the mind of God.
That's correct. It's a very, very risky thing.
So the point I'm bringing is teachers, parents who allow their children
Yes.
to make these permanent decisions,
Yes.
wrong decisions from a temporary feeling. You're at risk. You're risking your own life.
And I don't know if it's a matter that we have discussed as we ought to.
Yeah.
If as much as we ought to.
Or the way that we should.
Listen, I've always said, and you can quote me on this one, man cannot improve on what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When God does something, you can't do better than what God has done. You can't improve upon what God has done, right? God is the best of the best of the best. So when God designed us this way, you can't redesign man to make man into better than what God has, right? If God make us men, then you can't transfer, I was born a man and I want to become a woman. No, you can't improve upon God. If God designed that man should be married to a woman, right? male should be married to female. You can't have a deviation which is better than that which God has done, because you can't improve upon what God has done, right? If you improve upon what God has done, you're better than God. Right? That's idolatry right there. Okay. So the idea is that man has to learn to accept what God has done, embrace what God has done, and be contented with what God has done. And that God has designed the human race. Put it another way. If all of us become homosexual, what will happen to society?
That's the greatest sense of birth control.
The human
mass birth control.
The human race would have been extinct.
Yes.
Right? I was coming down this morning and I heard on BBC a new piece of news item that in Japan, the government in Japan is worried because they are not having enough children, right? The fertility rate in Japan has been dropping for the last 10 years. And last year it is the worst. I think they got only 780,000 babies born in the 1 year. And the government is now really, really doing everything they can to improve that and to increase that, because everybody knows if your population is shrinking, right?
Yes, everything.
You soon be extinct. So if all of us were to be homosexual, it's a threat to the human race. All right, to the perpetuation of the human race. That's the point I'm making. And so God knew why he put male with female. And so if we're going to change that, we are trying to displace what God puts in place. Or to say, hey, God, you didn't think about us, or you didn't think about this. You cannot improve upon God. And that's why it is an offense to God. And that's why God is offended by it. And that's why God dealt with it in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, and he will deal with it again. We get the warning, right? So we just have to be very, very careful as it relates to that, because God is still in control, right? We're still under his leadership, and there comes a time when we have to give account.
Now one would hear the fact that we went to that, right? One would think that okay, that's the bad and the end all. But any form of perversion of sex it is.
Yes.
Whether it's with another woman.
Here is what society has done. We have normalized shacking up, or what we call common law living, right? We have normalized that. We have criminalized homosexuality.
Yes.
Right?
Normalize everything
and
else.
normalize everything else. Right? This is the trick of the enemy now.
Yes.
We have made one look bad and the other one. In fact, what's the craziness? Even people, right? Even people who are common law in shacking up are criticizing the homosexual. This is the thing about it.
The devil laughs.
Yes, because the society has normalized one wrong, right?
Yes.
And seek to criminalize another wrong, and that this is not good. All perversions are wrong, and we should not allow people to feel comfortable doing wrong. Right? We don't hate them. You don't accuse them. No, but you help them to bring them into a relationship with the Lord. Help them to bring their life to the standard that pleases God.
If you have a family member with cancer, you wouldn't celebrate it.
Precisely.
You wouldn't celebrate it. You would definitely. We're up on a break. It's now 8:49 in the morning. We're talking about maggot in the morning.
It's maggot in the morning. Yeah, that's when worms in your manna.
Yes. We take a quick break. We're back right here on Family Matters.
Is your marriage in need of renewal? At the Institute for Essential Care, our Marriage Institute offers spiritual care counseling, marriage and premarital counseling, and guidance for couples preparing to start a family. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Life is full of challenges, but you don't have to face them alone. At the Institute for Essential Care, we're here to support, guide, and empower you and your family through every stage of life. The Institute for Essential Care. Call us today at 1-345-325-7556. Email us at tifecscheduling@gmail.com. Visit us online at www.caymanessentialcare.com. Family Matters is brought to you by the Institute for Essential Care.
Now, welcome back to Family Matters, talking about
God in the bedroom.
God in the bedroom.
Yep.
How and this program is sponsored by IEC, Institute for IFC.
TIFEC, the Institute for Essential Care.
Okay, TIFEC. All right. How do you deal with this? If persons are having these, is this something that someone should come to this office for, to speak? If they're having, most times the persons who go to see a family therapist is the one who is being abused.
Yes.
Right? But do you welcome persons who have these challenges, or for example, they're the one that's doing the wrong thing outside?
The abusers?
Yes.
Oh, yes, definitely.
For example, they didn't set out to be abusers.
Right.
Abuse happens naturally. But I put it this way. I'm not sure if every man who cheated on his wife or his right wanted to abuse his wife.
And that there are a number of people who end up being abusers.
Yes.
They didn't set out to be abusers.
Yes.
They don't necessarily want to be abusers.
Yes.
That's the way they feel of dealing with issues, because they themselves were abused.
Yes.
If you really check it out, most abusers are themselves victim
Yes.
of abuse, right?
Sometimes the same kind of abuse.
Same kind of abuse, right? And so that's one of the even more so why they need help. And yes, there are individuals who have come in to say, listen, I think I have a problem, right? And so some others are helped because other people recommend them, right? Others are helped because they come in for another related issue. And when you're treating them, you realize that there's this issue that is there. But I don't know that most people set out deliberately to abuse. No, right.
Yeah.
But that's maybe the way they were taught how to deal with it. For example, let's take violence, and domestic violence as an example. Right? A child growing up in domestic violence home very likely going to perpetuate violence because that's what they know. They know that's how you fight
That's
it
the
out.
language you learn.
Yes. And there are others who have genetic disposition to certain behavioral pattern, all right, that will result in abuse. So yes, not just abuse, individuals who are struggling also with homosexuality tendencies, for example. They are experiencing quite a lot of hurt, right?
Yes.
And do so silently. And this is good for them to come in and talk about it and see how we can help to alleviate some of the psychological pressures, mental health pressures, societal pressures that they have, and to normalize their life. Again, if they are able to do so, that would be very, very helpful for them. That's something that we do encourage for people to come in, either individually or as a couple. We'll be happy to work with that.
This might be very embarrassing for persons, or they might feel embarrassed to come and share. How could they be assured of confidence?
Okay. That's a very good point, right?
Because I think that would be something that would, for example, is a person know you.
Yeah.
How?
So
and there. Okay, let me just say it this way. Like I am. If you should come and tell me some things, right? I'm not a trained technician, psychologist, right? But how do I not show my disappointment?
Yeah, and that's the difference with a psychologist.
You understand what I'm saying? Right?
Yes, a trained professional. A trained professional will therefore will know that critical to our job is confidentiality. You've got to protect. And by the way, it's not just a requirement. It is legally required, right? You breach somebody's confidentiality, you can be in very serious legal trouble. So it is foundational, critical to any successful therapeutic relationship. Because number one, if you don't trust the therapist, right, you are off to a bad start, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first place. Therapeutic success comes through trusting relationship, even without the interventions. But that trusting relationship is critical for change, right? So you really have to be able to trust that. And so clinicians will go out of their way to protect the confidentiality of the individuals. It's like going to the doctor, right? There are some doctors that you go to, the doctor know you, you know them, and your case may be something that is embarrassing, but you have to go because you need the help, right? In Cayman, the society here is so small, everybody knows everybody's business, so we try our utmost best to do private. We do private appointments, so, we don't have walk-ins, for example, where, a bunch of people come sitting in the waiting room. No, we have private appointments. So you go online and you book your appointment privately. You see the clinicians privately. In fact, we even try to avoid people bumping up into each other while they
based on the scheduling.
Yeah, based on your scheduling. Sometimes it does happen, but we try to avoid that. So we maintain the privacy and the confidentiality of individuals at all cost in just about whatever matters they have discussing. So you should feel very safe coming to the Institute for Essential Care.
That is very, very important. I think that is very important information, because there might be persons out there who want to visit you, but...
In fact, I go to the length and I say to my clients, when we're doing the intake, right, I hold confidentiality so dear that if I see you in the public, I will not call to you. Right? I will pass you like I don't know you, right?
Yes.
And that is to maintain your confidentiality.
Yes.
Now, if you see me and say hello, I will say hello, but I'm hello, I'm gone, right?
Yeah.
I'm not standing around having a conversation.
Asking, how are things?
Yeah, because they will ask me, did this happen and did my husband get back to you? And no, I'm not. No discussion about any matter outside the office. So we maintain your confidentiality.
Yes. Very important. Very, 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 very important. And how can they find you?
So we're at 59 McClendon Drive. That's right behind Foster's Airport Center. Online is where you can get your booking done. So we're at CaymanEssentialCare.com. That's Cayman, one word, CaymanEssentialCare.com. So go online and book your appointment. You'll see all our clinicians there and the different services we have. You can choose the day and time that you wish to come in, and you do it privately, confidentially. We see you privately, confidentially, right? That's CaymanEssentialCare.com. Or you can call us at 325-7556. That's 325-7556. We'll be happy to do that. Not just family-related things, not just marriage, not just counseling. We do premarital counseling. We do marital counseling. We do couples counseling.
Grief.
We do grief counseling. Yeah, that's a big area. We do all mental health cares, whatever the issues you have.
Children.
We care for children. Also, we have educational psychologists that deal with the peer program, educational challenges, learning challenges, so the whole host of psychological assessments. So please see us at your convenience at CaymanEssentialCare.com. That's CaymanEssentialCare.com, or 325-7556, and we'll be happy to take care of you.
And this has brought us to the end of Family Matters for this morning. Dr. O'Connor, it was good to have you. A very interesting topic.
My pleasure.
When Margaret in the morning.
Yes.
Margaret in the morning.
It's an amazing subject, right? Because God sent that manna so fresh and nice. But by tomorrow, if you mishandle it,
yes,
right, same thing. If you mishandle your marriage, if you mishandle your family, boy, he can breed maggot in the morning.
He can breed maggot. That must have been an interesting sermon last week as well.
Yep.
Where can they find
it? You can find that on YouTube at the Ebenezer or the King's website, YouTube site.
Okay.
It's Maggot in the Morning.
Right.
You can pick that up on the King Ebenezer SDA Church or the King's SDA Church or YouTube channel. Will be able to play that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. See you next week. Are we seeing you next week?
Yes, I'll be here next week.
All right. This has also brought us to the end of Right Star for this morning. Be sure to join us tomorrow as we do it all over.
Are you looking for real talk on love, marriage, parenting, and relationships? Join us every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. for Family Matters, a brand new show on Praise 87.9 FM. Hosted by Dwayne Uter, alongside Dr. Cheyenne O'Connor, a licensed clinical psychologist and relationship expert. We'll tackle the real issues that families face. Straight talk, expert advice, and live call-ins. Got questions? We've got answers. Tune in and let's build stronger families together. Family Matters, this and every Thursday on Praise 87.9 FM.
Your marriage can be healed. A Hope Restored Marriage Intensive from Focus on the Family can transform you and your spouse's relationship in just a few days.
We'll go to this thing, but this is it. If this doesn't work, we're done. What we have now, it's way more than we ever had before and that I ever even dreamed of in the marriage.
Discover more at hoperestored.com. That's hoperestored.com.
Instantly, God did something in my heart when I read those words, babies with Down syndrome. And it was instantaneous, and I was not excited about this. I wasn't like, yes, Lord, let's step towards this. I was like, no. And like Josh and I lag behind, and he's like, what's going on? I tell him, and I'm waiting for him to say, oh no, that's not what we're going to do. And he goes, yeah, I think we should pray about that.
That's Heather Avis remembering a significant turning point in her marriage and family. And you'll hear more from her and her husband Josh today on Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Fuller.
You know, last time we featured a great conversation that we recorded a few years ago with this remarkable couple. Heather and Josh described their torturous years of infertility, wondering where God was and why he wasn't answering their prayers for a baby. Then the Lord revealed a different path for their family, the path of foster care and adoption. Heather and Josh were willing to embrace that, and now they have 3 children they've adopted, 2 of them with Down syndrome. And you know, John, some of my heroes are parents who are raising children with special needs, especially when you are opting in to take care of those kids. That can be a challenging job, and my heart goes out to you if that's your story. Here at Focus on the Family, we want to encourage you any way we can. One great